Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your guy, Eon. I know that probably sounds weird because I'm not usually like that type of person. But anyways, it's been a really good week trading. I'm really I wanted to trade this morning, leading into the afternoon. But I had 100% win rate this week. I'm not about to f that up. I'm trying to trade on a Friday, so and did I take a trade today? No, I did. I will. Anyways, I was talking to my fiance and I like there was a trade I was gonna place what was that? Almost an hour ago and it killed. And I wish I would have taken it. But like I said, it's been a great week. Don't want to mess it up. Today's video is the truth about AI and mass layoffs. Now, there's this like macro thing I look at or finance thing on I look at them on Facebook and Twitter or X. I think it's called the Kabishi letter or something like that, or Kabishi report. But they were talking about AI. If you look at when AI launched, well, ChatGPT or dang, I can't even think of OpenAI when they launched in 2023, and you look at the divergence from its launch to unemployment, in my opinion, I think it just kind of so happened to work that way. I don't believe that it's 100% AI. I just think we're later on in a business cycle. But let's see what they have to say in the video. And I most likely learn something, but I'm also going to probably have to do another more in-depth video. I have to see if, like, Real Vision gave me permission. So they said I can use some of their content. I'm going to see what Raul has to say about this as well, because I think I saw a video on Instagram. Um, where he mentioned the same thing. But anyways, let's jump into the video and see what we have to say, or see what CNBC has to say.
Between January and September 2025, there have been more than 946,000 job cuts announced, with roughly 300,000 from the government sector.
That's the highest since 2020, and it's a 55% increase from what we saw last year through the same time period.
It would make sense to think AI is to blame for the layoffs.
Now that we've had generative AI come in and kind of change the equation, investors and boards are asking management teams, how are you using AI? Why aren't you using AI? Can AI help you streamline costs?
But the latest round of layoff announcements in the fall of 2025 suggest AI might not be the root cause of the restructuring.
Okay, so I mean, so far what I said before, I didn't watch this video, so this is a natural reaction, but I just think we're later on in the business cycle. Um, I think AI does have some part to play, but there's so much data that AI requires. I definitely feel as though AI is propping up the market and it could potentially be a bubble, you know, but bubbles could last for years. So I'm not trying to say it's going to crash or anything like that, but I don't think that AI is solely the reason why there's been so many layoffs. I think we're just later on in the business cycle, and people are worried with the data that's been coming out the last few months. So, oh, and then there's also just been volatility with the tariffs and Trump and stuff like that. So,
They also seem to be real signs that something new is happening, that we've turned a corner in the economy.
So we've seen a wide range of reasons. You're not really seeing companies say, I am cutting 10,000 employees and replacing them with one single computer.
Using AI and introducing it to save jobs turns out to be an enormously complicated and time-consuming exercise. I think there's still a perception that it's simple and easy and cheap to do, and it's really not.
There's no doubt AI is a powerful force in the economy right now. The extent to which we think it's affecting the economy and hiring is in graduate level, low-skilled jobs. We haven't been able to find yet much evidence that AI is capable at this moment of taking over sort of white-collar, middle management jobs.
So why are we seeing so many layoffs? And how much of it is because of AI? Wall Street has been hyping generative AI innovation for several years now, which is putting pressure on executives to make it a part of their business model. 79% of CEOs in the US said they feared they could lose their jobs within 2 years if they didn't deliver measurable AI-driven business gains.
investors need to be a little careful with what some people have called AI washing. And what that is this idea that because business is deteriorating or there's some difficulty going on with the business, you say, oh, we're letting people go because of AI. No, you're letting people go because the business is hurting and calling.
See, I agree with that completely. Like I know like there's always these narratives that are heavily pushed in the media, but I don't believe that it's solely because of AI. I believe that, like this guy said, some CEOs or upper management will probably say, "Oh, because we're using AI," but it's just it sounds good. It sounds good for the stock, but I mean, you don't really hear too many like privately owned businesses saying, "Oh, we're firing people because of AI." Like the business cycle is the business cycle. It happens every couple years. Well, if you're super big on words and I say couple, you're like, oh, 2 years? No, like it happens every few years where the business cycle just has to do its thing. Like it just has to recycle itself. So I don't believe it, like the narrative that AI is solely because of layoffs, but I do think there are instances. I can't say it's completely like AI has never done it because I'm pretty sure it has, but the mass layoffs that we're seeing, I don't believe it's because of AI solely.
It AI, and because Wall Street is buying anything with the letters A and I attached to it. And so what you might find is you would actually get a bump in your stock because you're letting people go because of AI.
There's this kind of financial fiduciary incentive for management teams to say they're using AI and say that strategies are related to AI, even if it's not totally related to AI. There's been surveys that have come out that found companies are attributing certain strategies and plans to AI, but it could be as simple as, using AI to write an email for you, right? Is that really a revolutionary use of this technology? No, but can you say you're using it as part of your strategy? Technically, yes.
We spent a lot of time looking carefully at companies that are actually trying to implement AI, and there's very little evidence that it cuts jobs anywhere near like the level that we're talking about. And in fact, most cases it doesn't cut headcount at all. It may come effectively later on by improving productivity, so you get some of the effects of it. But it turns out it's really, really hard to cut headcount with AI.
Even Meta's decision to cut 600 workers in October 2025, they cut those workers from their AI unit. And that's because the AI unit had gotten bloated. They'd hired too many people.
AI bubble, my boy Sean, you know what we're talking about. 'Cause you and I have both talked about the AI bubble on Facebook and in our conversations before. Like it's an amazing tool, and I believe that it will revolutionize humanity in the coming years. But it's like the tech bubble. There were so many tech companies like .com, anything .com was making millions and billions of dollars. Like you could have did, leadership.com in 99 and you could have, and it didn't have to do anything. You could have just said, it could have just been like leadership stuff, like articles, and then you could have sold for millions of dollars. Like it was crazy. I wasn't, investing or trading at that time. I was a child, a wee one, if you will. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of gonna be the thing with AI now. Like a lot of people are using AI wrappers, like WRAP, not AAP, RAP. And they're just creating these different businesses using AI, you know pretty much like making it look a little bit nicer, maybe a little bit more friendly and a little bit more centralized, or AI agents and stuff like that. But anyways, I'm kind of beating off into a whole other direction, but yeah, I just think that it's, you know a lot of people are hired all over, and it's not just tech. Like I've also seen other companies that aren't in tech that have, like, we're trying to get into AI because of the bubble, or just the hype of it at the time, and they're just letting a lot of people go as well.
And especially these tech firms where the idea of integrating new technology, innovating and disrupting, you cannot have 10 people you have to go to make a decision if you want to be a disruptor and an innovator.
Companies are announcing big layoffs all the time. In a given year, there could be 1 million announced layoffs. The question is whether or not there's other hiring going on. And the problem we have is that there's no official hiring data.
We've seen a wide variety of reasons for the layoffs that we've seen in recent months. Sometimes it's related to a larger restructuring at the company, an effort to reduce costs. Sometimes it's related to changes in the business. This is kind of a trend in corporate decision making where big corporations become really fat over time, right? You have all these layers of middle management, and it takes a long time for people to get things done, right? Corporate employees spend a lot of their times in meetings, they spend a lot of time talking about work, but not a lot of time actually doing work. As we enter into leaner economic times, you're seeing companies kind of rethink their corporate structures.
I'm gonna say this. This lady is really good with her terminology and saying leaner economic times, like recession. You know what I'm saying? Like it sounds better to say leaner economic times rather than recession or I hope it's not a depression or anything like that. But it's interesting her terminology to use that phrasing because it sounds way better than saying recession.
Do I need 5 layers of management for one project to get done? If I cut out 3 to 4 of those, how quickly can we actually have this project out in front of customers? And when you're in a high interest rate environment, the job market has become weaker, consumer spending has become weaker. You don't really have the luxury to have 5 layers of management to go through every time you make a decision.
I think in general, they just don't seem to worry about the consequences of overcutting, nor do they worry about the consequences of what happens if they're guessing wrong about recession. So there's been some.
I'm also gonna say this. I think a lot of companies aren't as heavily focused on like staying within certain guidelines because of potential public outlash. Um like in 2020, 2021, companies are really big on trying to be politically correct and stuff like that. Versus like now, you're seeing a lot more people swaying from that notion of being politically correct or trying to please everybody. And as the lady said, in later economic times, you don't really want to have to go through, meeting after meeting after meeting. You want to be able to pivot. And when the more people you have to go through, I'll say this, you also have like you're pivoted, you want to be able to pivot and you also want to cut costs. So it's like every employee, let's just say at a corporation, I won't say every employee, but like let's just say that the average is like 60 or 80,000 a year. If you fire 100 people and they were all making $80,000 a year, you're talking about saving like $80 million a year in your expenses. Hang on, I believe that's right. I can't think right now. It's morning and we said 80,000 times 100. Yeah, 80. Oh, 8 million. 8 billion. I'm sorry. Yeah, I had a feeling that number was off. Yeah, 8 million. So you're saving $8 million a year getting rid of those 100 people. Man, it's crazy that I said. Oh, my mind instantly went to 800,000. Uh, we're not gonna. Don't call me stupid. But anyways, let's jump back into the video because I'm
Interesting research over the last couple of years
beating off the track of the video,
showing the costs of doing that. And basically the short conclusion is the longer you can resist a layoff, the better your financial performance is likely to be. And part of that is because you don't save as much money by cutting as you think, but also on the rebound, it takes you a while to bring new people in, get them settled, not disrupt the place, and then turn things around.
There's a great story out there that maybe people want to tell about the coming revolution of AI wiping out all the jobs. Let's just be skeptical of that till we have a little harder evidence.
Okay, that's cool. Pretty much what I was already thinking. You know what? I'm gonna pause this video and come back. Excuse me. Hopefully you didn't catch that. But I'm gonna come back and then we're gonna look at Real Vision and see what they have to say. All right, howdy. This is like a extension of the video you probably just saw, but this is Raul talking about a little bit about. It wasn't what I remember fully. Wasn't what they talked about in the video, but it's still relevant. So let's check it out.
But how is society going to deal with it? Because what's in my head is people don't hire new workers. We're already seeing that in the data.
Actually, we saw that in Duolingo. They said we're not firing anyone, but they're growing at 40%. So all the high growth companies have stopped hiring. But the firings haven't started yet. Like you see in Eric Bernofson's data, they've stopped hiring graduates, but the firings haven't started because you don't want to fire your buddies until recession.
I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and they're in the electricity distribution business. Got tons of, tens of thousands of people working here in Texas. And I said, what are you doing with AI? He said, we have to be very careful because we can't tell people we're going to replace them. So what we can do is grow and not hire new workers. The productivity of companies goes up. But over time, the companies themselves are just AI. So in which case it accrues to what? How does that operate?
Again, what does the Fed do? The Fed has inflation and unemployment, right? As its two levers.
Yeah.
So what happens is you cut rates and then banks can lend more credit and then companies can borrow cheaper and hire more workers, and that stimulates the economy. You cut rates, companies go and buy more GPUs. What happens then?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, whenever the Fed, like, I mean, I think did they already cut? I remember there were supposed to be 2 cuts this year. I think they already cut once in September, and I think they're cutting again in December. But I'm talking about when rates really go low, because I think I only did 25 basis points. But let's go into this video because they were talking about. I think they were talking about. I know this one was relevant, but I think this one may have been relevant as well.
The people that take the AI and use it in the right way because they care about making money or improving society or anything are the ones that have the biggest impact. So like a lot of people listen to this are probably in a big organization which is like a slow, dumb AI. If you vibe code for a couple of hours a day, you're instantly in the top 1% of your company, top 0.1%. And then in this transition period, you become one of the most important people in the organization, right? But the RL functions are going to be interesting because you're going to see all sorts of crazy behavior that, again, make last Friday, I think, look like a walk in the park, as these AIs just let loose on the financial markets. Like, they weren't good enough, they're about to be good enough, and financial markets are the ultimate place playing. In fact, I think one of the really interesting ones is, we're talking here after Polymarket raised $2 billion and Kalshi raised $300 million. Do you know that according to the super forecasters, Tetlock and Co, AI will outperform human super forecasters in 2 years. It's already 8th in the super forecasting championships. At that point, humans will never overtake AI, right? So what is a prediction market if it's all AIs?
I know, this is what I got to. What is a financial market if it's all AI? How do you price a company? How do you price anything?
I don't know.
And that's what I got to. I really don't know.
I'm curious as well because I'm thinking that eventually, like, these AIs are going to talk to each other. So it's gonna be interesting to see whose AI is more intelligent than somebody else's AI. So, like, let's say you have Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan AI, and they're able to communicate with each other like the CEOs would, but then one person's AI might just be a little bit more advanced than the other. And they'll be able to call moves at like a nanosecond and be able to really capture like alpha better than their competitor. And even when it comes to us, when we're day trading or swing trading or whatever, just traders in general, like there's going to, like, for instance, a lot of us are going to probably eventually use AI or like, just to automate our systems or whatever to make it way quicker and less I'll say less discretionary, or maybe we could just tell our AI like what I'm looking at. But maybe the AI, this is gonna go into a whole rabbit hole when it comes to trading stuff. So what I'm gonna do, I'll have to do a whole nother video on that. But anyways, I think this video, it was this one, when they were talking about the companies just stopping hiring, and then just over time, the company will just completely be AI. Because let's just say somebody retires or somebody gets fired or whatever, instead of having to hire a new person to replace them, they just replace them with the AI, or maybe they already have the AI there that's ready to replace them once they leave. I think that's a little bit more of a, I guess the word would be like a little bit more humane way of doing layoffs. But the economy is still gonna, be affected since there's gonna be less jobs. Now, there's a guy. I'm gonna have to do a whole nother video on that. But there's this guy who predicted this in 2012. I think I found him in like 2014 maybe. But he's in Florida and he predicted, I mean, like, this dude was a super genius. Super genius. I can never remember how to pronounce his name, but he had the Venus Project. If you ever look into the Venus Project, hang on, you know what, like, let me come back here and go to YouTube. Jacque Fresco. This dude was on a whole nother level. I mean, he predicted so much, and he was like, it's gonna eventually come to a point where human productivity is like this, but but consumption is like this, and the reason why human productivity is going to go down is because everything will be replaced with robotics and AI. And I'm going to have to do a video on this guy. But anyways, it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. And, you know, hopefully you subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz. And, you know, we'll learn about this stuff together. So anyways, talk to you in the next video. Peace.
Man, even Jesus had a shooter. And God be having unbelievers that didn't mess up their demeanor. And yes, they know it's hard, they know, cause when they be up in those trenches, man, they show